Hey everyone, today I'm going to be reviewing a new Beastbox called BB-51A Roarmeo. First off, this one has an odd name and I've got some theories on that, which I'll get into a little bit later. I'm going to go a little bit out of my usual order and start with the transformation, which I'll also talk about later. Let's take a look at its cube form. It does have a few extra parts that help fill it out, which makes for a nice accessory storage, but at the same time, these aren't completely necessary for the transformation. So there are a lot of pin joints and a fairly heavy-duty central ratchet joint, which is going to be necessary to hold the weight of its combiner mode. Starting off, we'll go ahead and get this guy transformed. First step is very easy, just pull out this little device that happens to be in the shape of a bone out here. Definitely keeping with that canine theme. And it has a smoke bomb label on it. Pretty cool. Here's the important thing to note. There are a lot of interlocking tabs, and just by the nature of how it transforms, you really have to be careful with not only the order, but also the direction you pull to release certain parts. And just to demonstrate, the instruction booklet actually shows the first transformation step to rotate the front legs up. That's not correct. You need to push them out sideways to give clearance to the winglet tabs. Honestly, that's probably the most precarious part. Once you get the tabs cleared, the transformation of this guy is pretty straightforward, and the rest of the process is cake. Once you have it released, you can rotate those legs down. Then you can rotate the winglet straight out to get them out of the way. Same deal on the hind legs. Pull them up and out like a pair of butterfly wings. Rotate the torso 90 degrees to get it in a straight line. For the front leg, release the paw, separate the forelimb from its midsection tab panel. Then you rotate it around 180 degrees. Or at this point, you might actually go ahead and remove those pieces if you're going to reattach them somewhere else on the figure. Taking a closer look at those winglets, it's got 3 articulated hinges ending with an alert bar. Even this one little piece has a ton of configurability. From here, we can reveal the head by rotating it up. Ears rotate up, very simple. Now for the hind legs. The hips are on a series of articulated connecting joints. For the canine configuration, you generally want to have it in this position. Release these hind quarter panels like so. Pull the lower half of the hind leg down, rotate it 180 degrees. This upper portion of the hind leg gets rotated 180 degrees. Rotate the lower half to get it in alignment with the rest of the leg. And of course, you're going to have to repeat this process on the other side. Last step, you'll want to fold out the tail and then you're set to go. So yeah, one thing I wanted to point out, I twisted the front legs the wrong way, and then I got stress marks on these 2 connecting tabs here, which I did the very first time I transformed Romeo from cube to robot. Not a huge knock on this figure, that was definitely user error, but a word of caution that if a piece doesn't feel like it's moving, or if it's resisting too much, you probably want to stop what you're doing. Maybe take a look at the instructions or watch a demo of the transformation, just to make sure you're doing it correctly and you don't break anything. There again, this figure has a ton of 3mm connecting ports, so you've got connection ports on the front leg on 2 different spots, connection port on the hind leg here. It's got a lot of plug and play ability. You got a connection port right here on the back and also connection ports on the sides here. That's kind of the way I prefer to display it because it seems to work best with the contour of this character's body. So moving on, we'll get a quick rundown of what comes in the box. Here's just one grammatical thing I wanted to point out. 52 Toys is generally pretty consistent about how they name their figures. This one is designated as BB-51A. Here's an unfortunate inconsistency. BB-51A and BB-51A. If you're a Beastbox collector, you're probably already aware that the first release in their Terminus line was almost released with a fatal typo. I really think 52 Toys needs to hire an English proficient proofreader to oversee everything before it goes to production. Again, this is one of 4 canine figures that combine to form a dinosaur type creature. That character's name is Massive Attacka. Hate to say it, but they've come up with some ridiculous names for this set, which is kind of unfortunate considering how well designed they are. Produced by 52 Toys, Mechanical Design X2R, which I believe is their main in-house design team. Engineering design by Alex Kubalski. Obviously a highly collaborative effort. So back to the naming scheme, I've got a theory. Roarmeo is kind of a goofy name, but since it very clearly drew inspiration from high-tech automotive design, I think it's an allusion to Alfa Romeo. Now we don't know the names of all 4 dogs yet, but the next one that's currently being released is called Boney, which leads me to believe the names of the 2 after that will start with C and D. That's not a huge stretch of the imagination, but yeah, let me know what you think. Back to what else is in the box, you've got a box charger along with a plastic insert. You got an instruction booklet, character card, and a catalog. Anyway, like I said before, I look at this thing and I see a high-tech robot with inspiration drawn from real-life machined parts. From street bikes, supercars, or something to that effect. You definitely see it in the paneling. You got these cool kind of airflow channels, and on the hind legs, if you look really close, it looks a lot like a disc brake and a caliper. Grooves inside here look like air vents, that kind of thing. Very cool. Back to the instructions, I'll just point out real quick that aside from one glaring, incorrectly shown step, they're thorough and easy to follow along with and shows you how to transform from beast to cube, vice versa, and also both sections of the dinosaur. Roarmeo can form either the head or the tail, which technically makes this guy a quadruple changer. Moving on to more details, it has a premium look and feel. This might totally be my imagination, but it feels like it's built with a different, maybe even a higher quality type of plastic. Joints feel really solid, tons of posability, which I'll show off more at the end of this review. Lots of novel articulating joints that aren't necessarily typical for a Beastbox. So on the hips you have all these sort of ratcheting joints that could fold out into a lot of different configurations. Pretty realistically emulates the ball and socket mobility of an animal's skeletal hip structure. The torso is a ratcheting joint, and it's pretty darn tight, definitely designed to hold weight. We'll take a closer look at some more interesting details. For one, it has this really interesting cowl instead of binocular eyes. I think this was a really unique, interesting design choice. And if you look at it closely, it actually has compound eyes with a central main eye and 2 on each side. In my opinion, this was probably directly inspired by his proud papa, Unis. I think a reoccurring design language definitely helps to cement a mythology for product lines like this one. Roarmeo comes with a ton of well-designed, tasteful graphic applications, although... Fort wing? How embarrassing, 5-2 Toys. Come on, y'all, hire a proofreader. You get these little pointy arrows here, lots of caution, 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 caution. Hypermotor, optical unit, very cool. Here's a stylized R with a checkered flag pattern. Again, it's definitely evocative of a street bike or some sort of racing machine. And the icon for a Beastbox land animal embedded in a racing stripe. I can't get over the astounding amount of posability this figure has. One amazing piece they added is this filler neck piece. So you've got this full range of motion with the head, but it doesn't have a huge gap like earlier, more simplified figure designs. This is a genuinely smart and realistic emulation of animal anatomy from head to tail. You've got a movable jaw, of course. The fact that Roarmeo has so many other functions is what makes this figure so incredible. It's a deceptively simple character design with a lot of underlying sophistication that you don't see on the surface. Think Eve from WALL-E, the Apple Magic Mouse, or pretty much anything that Dieter Rams laid his hands on. That's the level of achievement in product design we're looking at. Now it's time to give this good boy a box grade. This is my rating system of 5 points possible in 6 categories for a total score of anything between 0 and 30 points. Roarmeo is a well-designed cross between canine and racing machine influence for a unique take on a state-of-the-art robotic dog. Easily earns a 5 out of 5. Tons of posability and cool-looking articulated accessories give you a lot of bang for your buck. Whether or not you're more into action figures or desk toy animals doesn't really matter because Roarmeo gives you both, and then some. 5 out of 5. Transformation is pretty straightforward, and did I mention it's a quadruple changer? Although, like any other sophisticated transforming figure, there are a lot of interlocking tabs, so you do need to exercise a bit of caution going from one mode to the other. 4 out of 5. Articulation is quite frankly second to none. You'll see what I mean at the end of this video. Hands down, this is 5 out of 5. Construction is excellent with solid joints and high quality plastic and graphic applications. 5 out of 5. Like I mentioned before, Roarmeo is solidly a study on animal anatomy and an action figure. Quite simply, it's a seemingly simple figure, but there's a lot you can do with it. 5 out of 5. That brings the box grade total to 29 out of 30. As of now, Roarmeo stands as my most highly rated Beastbox figure review, but even beyond that, I'm in awe of this character design. I generally avoid suggesting what anyone does with their money, but whether you're into Beastboxes, action figures, desk toys, interesting design objects, or any combination of the above, this figure is a must-have. 5-2 Toys, pop a champagne cork. You guys absolutely knocked this one out of the park. But seriously, y'all, hire a proofreader. As always, I very much appreciate your time, so if you enjoyed this video, I'd appreciate a like or a comment, or subscribe if you haven't already. I have much more to come, and look forward to talking with everyone again. Thanks for watching.